This is John Coley with growingyourgreens.com. Today we're in the local Whole Foods, and when you think of snack foods, do you think of like some kind of chips that you could have a nice crunch on? And if you're growing a garden, what is in your garden that's really crunchy? Well, there's not many things. So instead of chips, which are maybe not so healthy and have been fried, well, I'm going to show you an alternative today here at Whole Foods, and then we're going to show you how to make it fresh from the garden. So now we're in another aisle of Whole Foods, and in this aisle they have basically kale chips. So they have a lot of different brands of kale chips, and you know, these guys, the problem with these is that they're much healthier than corn chips or potato chips or any other kind of chip. But the problem is they're $6.49, and that's for 3 ounces. So that's $2.16 per ounce. That's absolutely insane. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to show you how to make kale chips out of the kale or other leafy greens that you're growing in your garden. So let's come back to my house and I'll show you how to make some kale chips. As you just saw in the clip, kale chips can get very expensive. And the other thing that you may not notice is that they're all made out of kale. But you can make kale chips, or basically vegetable chips, out of most anything you're growing in your garden. And I'm gonna show you how to do that today. I'm standing here next to my giant tree collard trees. Some of my tree collards are literally 15 feet tall, and these are a special variety of collard that grows 365 days a year here in California. You just pick off the leaves as they grow. So they're absolutely amazing. And the special thing to know is that in any recipe that you're making, you always want to use the highest quality ingredients. So what that means to me is growing it yourself, because when you grow it yourself, you're gonna hopefully have the highest quality because you control the growing procedures, how it's grown, and even when it's picked and when it's used after it's picked. The other thing when you do grow your own food is that you can choose when to harvest the leaves. So for example, we could harvest these big leaves up over here, or you know that most people have to de-stem when they make kale chips, or we could choose to pick these much smaller baby leaves. And these much smaller baby leaves don't quite have as hard of a stem. They're a lot more tender, and actually then you don't need to de-stem them, so that's going to save some time in the long run. Plus the smaller leaves in most cases are much sweeter than the larger leaves. So I'm going to pick some of these tree collards. So I encourage you to use a variety of different leafy greens when making your leafy green chips. So here's just yet another one. This one's actually called flowering kale or ornamental kale. And check out this deep, rich purple color on it. We're just gonna harvest a couple of these leaves in here, and this is amazing. This is just like a dark, rich purple. And you wanna remember, we wanna eat the rainbow. So growing different foods allows you to grow different colors and eat them too, and get all the nutrition from the different colored foods. So now I'm sitting behind my red variegated sorrel plants, and these plants are simply amazing. Take a look at these leaves. It looks like something that would be poisonous, but this is a variety of sorrel, has a nice sorrel-y flavor, and I found that these are best eating when they're actually little baby leaves and small. When they get larger, they're not necessarily that good for salads. They can get a little bit of bitter, you know, that's that sorrel coming out, but they make amazing kale chips or tree collard chips or red variegated sorrel chips. So we're gonna harvest some of these also and make some red variegated sorrel chips too. So when you grow your own food, you get to experiment with all the different things you grow to find interesting and unique uses for them. So I never knew that you could make red variegated sorrel chips, and they're actually my favorite because the sorrel flavor ends up turning into like a salty kind of flavor once they're dehydrated. So before I go inside, I saw these growing, and I just have to harvest some and make these into some vegetable chips too. This is actually arugula. So arugula has a nice spicy flavor, and these also make excellent vegetable chips. So remember, you could use more than just kale to make your kale chips or leaf vegetable chips. We're gonna use some arugula. It has a nice spicy flavor. So now I'm inside. I'm gonna share with you the different ingredients that I'm gonna use to make the collard chips. There's basically just 6 ingredients. So I always encourage everybody to make recipes that have as few ingredients as possible, because they're gonna digest well. And if you use high quality ingredients, you could get away with using less ingredients because it's going to have that rich, full flavor. And we're going to talk about the quality of some of the ingredients that I'm using in just a moment. But first, let's introduce all the different ingredients. So first, you saw me pick all the leafy greens, from the tree collards to the red variegated sorrel and the arugula. Also, we have 4 Roma tomatoes here. And it is the off season right now. Tomatoes, you know, on the off season, in the wintertime usually don't taste too good. So what I'm going to do to kick that flavor up a bit, I'm going to add a half cup of sun-dried cherry tomatoes. Now these cherry tomatoes I grew myself and dehydrated at low temperature so that I can be assured that they are raw. Plus, cherry tomatoes, when they're dried, they taste incredible. They just bring out that sweetness. The next thing we're going to use is a half cup of sauerkraut. This is fresh fermented sauerkraut, absolutely delicious. That'll add basically this flavor intensity and this unique flavor to the chips, make them taste really good. Of course, next, can't forget the 1 cup of dried macadamia nuts. They're my favorite nut. Nice fatty flavor, cream up really nice. Followed by 1 bell pepper, and this is an orange bell pepper that I grew myself and even harvested in now in winter time. And followed behind the regular sweet bell pepper, we got some dried peppers. So this is about a half cup of dried peppers, and there's I grew 20 different varieties of peppers. So these are mixed dried hot and sweet peppers, and this also adds a flavor uniqueness to the whole recipe. Once again, it's coming down to the quality of ingredients. Using good quality ingredients, and you're going to get a better result in the end. The last ingredient that we're going to use is basically 1 lemon, and that was grown by a neighbor. So now let me show you how easy this recipe is to do. Basically, you're just putting the ingredients into the blender, blending it up, and then you're going to spread the ingredients onto the kale chip and then put in the dehydrator. So first step, we're going to basically take the blender lid off, and we're using the large Wild Side blender carafe. It has a 4-inch wide blade, so it basically makes pre-chopping anything you're putting into the blender not required. So we could actually just take the whole tomatoes and drop them in there, and they're going to still blend up, and you can't do that with any blender. The next thing we're going to do, we're going to take my bell pepper, and we're basically going to de-seed it. And while I'm de-seeding it, let's go ahead and talk about the quality of the ingredients you're using. So the quality of the ingredients that you're using will basically make up the recipe. So if you're using ingredients that aren't so good, don't taste so good, don't have a lot of flavor, then your recipe is not going to taste good. When you're using high quality ingredients that were fresh picked, such as the leafy greens and such as the pepper here and even the lemon, the flavors are going to come out at you and really hit you in the face, literally. And the other thing is my growing practices. The growing practices that I use to grow all my food include using a lot of rock dust minerals, which basically adds minerals or 92 plus minerals back into the soil, plus organic compost. So by adding the minerals and the compost, I'm growing really high quality food. So when you add the minerals back into the soil, it makes the plants more disease resistant, the plants grow larger, they yield more, but more importantly, especially for people that are into making and preparing high quality food, it makes the food taste better because we have mineral receptors on our tongue that are not just looking for that salty flavor, it's looking for any kind of minerals because we need minerals to survive. And most chefs add that salt component to try to turn on those mineral receptors when it does, but it's a fake sense because it's not providing our body with all 90 plus minerals and trace minerals that we need. So growing your own food, if you want to have the highest quality food, in my opinion, very super important. Let's go ahead and add the rest of the bell pepper in there. So what we're doing now is we're adding all the liquid ingredients, and we're basically going to blend up the liquids. Now we're going to cut up the lemon and add the lemon juice to the blender. Real simple and real easy. Juice of 1 lemon. And what we're doing first is we're just basically adding all the liquid ingredients to the blender, and we're going to add the dried ingredients later. Why we do this is because we have a BlendTech blender here, but if you didn't have a BlendTech blender, if you had a regular standard household blender, you'd need to blend all the liquid items first before the dried items, otherwise you won't get a really good complete blend. So I like to just usually do the water-rich items first. So there you go, that's all the lemon. So we just added all the liquid items. Next we're going to add the dried peppers because I want to make sure all those peppers get ground up really fine so the flavors combine. Next we're going to turn the blender on high. Alright, so our blender has blended up all the liquid ingredients, and as you can see here we have a nice pretty color, and I really like to make things that have nice pretty colors. Check it out, nice rich orange color. So the next step is we're going to add our dry ingredients. So simply add the 1 cup of macadamia nuts, half cup of sauerkraut, and the half cup of cherry tomatoes that are dried by me. Then we're just going to go ahead and reblend this mixture. Real simple and real easy. Alright, so the blender is done blending, and you can check it out. We have a nice creamy consistency in there. And this can be used as like a salad dressing, or even just use it to dip the collards into and then just eat them fresh instead of dehydrating. Because I like to say freshest is always bestest, but of course you're not going to get that crunchy flavor that everybody's looking for. So now we're going to just simply take a pastry brush and brush on the mixture onto the collard leaves. And many people that make kale chips might like cut up your collards, destem your collards, put them in a bowl, and then like dump the whole mixture in, and then mix them all up. And that will coat the mixture on both sides. But then you have to use things like a Teflon sheet or a non-stick sheet in the dehydrator, which will increase your drying time. So I simply just like to take the pastry brush, get a brush, and then just like literally brush this on the collard chip. So basically we're just brushing it on, really simple, real easy with the pastry brush. Then we're going to go ahead and put it in the dehydrator. And once again, no non-stick sheet or no Teflon sheet is necessary. And it's always better to dehydrate with the regular mesh sheets, because the mesh sheets have the holes. The airflow can actually get underneath and dry whatever you're dehydrating faster. So when you are using a Teflon sheet, air can't circulate to the bottom of whatever you are dehydrating. So in that case, you'll have to actually flip whatever you're dehydrating, and dehydration will take longer. So by coating the collard chip only on one side, then we don't have to get the mesh sheet dirty. It's going to save cleaning time, plus it's going to dehydrate faster. So it's going to be ready quicker, and it's going to save you money, and you're not going to have to run your dehydrator as long. So let's go ahead and batter up one of these red variegated sorrels. Definitely pretty. And these are actually going to come out with a nice salty flavor. And once again, these are grown in rock dust minerals. And if you do garden, I would encourage you to use the rock dust minerals in your growing beds. And if you don't garden, definitely request and ask your farmers that grow your food to use the rock dust. It makes everything taste better. So then we're just going to go ahead and put that on. So next we're going to do that oh so cute flowering kale. This is the purple flowering kale. And isn't that a sight? I mean, the purple kale, and then we got the nice orange sauce on it. Real simple, real easy. Next, we're going to go ahead and batter up an arugula leaf. Arugula has a nice peppery flavor. And one of the funnest things to do is actually eat the arugula flowers. If you've never eaten the arugula flowers, they're absolutely amazing. So we're just going to go ahead and batter this up too, and put it in the dehydrator. So I like to just pack my dehydrator full of all the leaves. I'll actually come in here and I'll like arrange them so I could be the most space efficient and get the most leaves on my dehydrator at one time. So I always encourage people to purchase the largest dehydrator that they can, because you could always run the dehydrator half full. But if you have extra leftover batter and extra kale chips or collard chips to put in, you're going to run out of space on the smaller dehydrators. So that being said, this will make an excellent salad dressing if you do run out of space and don't have anything else to do with your batter mixture. Next, I'm just going to go ahead and load up the rest of the tray with some chips, and then we're going to turn on the dehydrator and get it dehydrating. Alright, so I'm just putting the final touches of batter on the chips. All done. Now here are all the collard leaves, red variegated sorrel. We're going to put that into the dehydrator. And put the door on. And now all we're going to simply do is turn the dehydrator on to about 115 is where I like to set it at, so you could dehydrate it as quickly as possible, save energy. And now we're just going to come back. Basically overnight is how long this usually takes to dehydrate. That may vary depending if you live in a more humid or non-humid environment. So we'll show you the results tomorrow. So we're back. It's the next day, and these collard chips are all finished. And let's go ahead and turn the dehydrator off and take them out of the dehydrator and show you what we got. So we're going to go ahead and turn this dehydrator off. We're going to take off the door of the 9-tray Excalibur dehydrator, and now we're going to pull out the collard chips. Now these collard chips are basically dehydrated, so the dehydrator works by basically only evaporating off the water. So the reason why this is so important is because when you just take out the water at a low temperature, it leaves all the enzymes and a lot more of the nutrition intact in the food. So when we eat the food, basically we're getting all the nutrients that nature intended except for the water if you do it at a low temperature. So that's why I had the dehydrator set at 115 degrees. It's also very important. Some people may use the non-stick sheets. Once again, I recommend not to use the non-stick sheets. It's only going to increase your dehydration time, and you're going to have to flip them, and you're going to have to actually clean the sheets off because they get all kind of sticky after dehydrating kale that's been coated on both sides. And I encourage you to use all your leafy greens that you're growing in your garden. I know you're going to have an overabundance when you get so excited and start growing all these leaves, and you're not going to know what to do with them because most people maybe steam or cook up their kale, but I want to tell you that kale can be delicious whether they're dehydrated, blended up in like a green smoothie, or even juiced, or even actually just cut up and eaten in a salad, especially when they're the baby and the smaller leaves. The larger leaves actually make really good kale chips. So let's take a look at these kale chips. Here we have the red variegated sorrel chip, and it looks really cool on the backside. There's one. Here's another one. You can just kind of see, I mean, that's just like almost artistic how it looks. Red variegated sorrel, and these ones actually taste delicious because they have that salty flavor from the sorrel-y flavor. Let's see, here's one that's really cool. This is the flowering kale. That's the purple flowering kale, dehydrated to a nice purple color, really cool. And here's the arugula, and arugula once again grows like a weed. You can throw the seeds out, and before you know, you're gonna have lots of arugula and more than you know what you're gonna do with. Oh, and here's one even in the shape of a heart. I didn't know collard leaves came in the heart. Well, I have this special variety that grows leaves in shapes of hearts. Just kidding. So this is the reason for this video is this is actually the Valentine's Day Hot Raw Chef Contest. And, I need your guys' help to win. This is basically based on a popular vote on one part of the contest. So if all my viewers could come help me out and go to hotrawchef.com and basically just vote for my video, my kale chip video. You got to see the extended version here on my YouTube channel, but they got a clip down version because I can only show 5 minutes worth. So go to hotrawchef.com, vote for me, once again, John Kohler, and hope you've learned more about how to use your collard, kale, and other leafy greens in interesting ways here in this episode to make some delicious chips. So once again, this is John Kohler with growingyourgreens.com. Keep growing your kale and other leafy greens, and you know what? Make some kale or collard chips out of them. They're so delicious.